Great. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our monthly lab class. This is a special opportunity for Blue Canoe users to ask questions and to participate in a lesson with me and other Color Vowel teachers and Color Vowel teachers in training. So this is a wonderful mixed group of teachers and learners all in the same room here to explore Blue Canoe further and answer and ask any pronunciation questions. So I'll now invite any questions you have, please type them into the chat. And I know Penny's here in the room with us. We're always, yay, Penny. We're always grateful for Penny who's watching the chat and helping me stay organized, okay? Wonderful. Tonight or today, I'm going to be sharing with you a chant lesson. And what I mean by a chant will come clear shortly, but let me start with this question for you as you're thinking of your questions to ask. Here, my question for you is, what are some things that you say or want to say several times per day or every day in English? Think about your jobs or the people you talk to, and what is a phrase that you say all the time? For example, one of my jobs is I'm a mother. So one of the things I say almost every day is, put on your shoes. That's my most common phrase. I think I say that probably 100 times a week. Put on your shoes. And so I'll just use that as my example right now. But go ahead and use the chat to share your answers. What is something that you say in English often, every day, every week, all the time? Especially if you're working in a job with customer service, you'll know certain phrases you use all the time. Okay? Okay, so if you're still thinking, I understand, no pressure. But I'm going to use a very common phrase in just a moment here. Let's see what we have in our chat. So yeah, things like, let's check the homework. Exactly. Someone else wrote in, hi, how are you? Take care, see you, hello. Don't do that. Nice now. That would be for children, right? Stop doing that. All right. What we find is with phrases that we use a lot, we might start to transform them into kind of our own automated delivery. And sometimes those phrases can start being less and less comprehensible. So I'll give you an example, and then we can come back to some of yours. So what happens to a phrase when you use it every day and when you say it hundreds of times per week, right? And so I've given the example here of, how can I help you today? Has anyone ever received an answer on the phone where somebody speaks too quickly? Yeah? So this, let's just say this several times. Go ahead and try this. You can mute your microphones. And I'm going to start slow, and then I want you to get faster and faster with me. So you're just speaking with me. Ready? How can I help you today? 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 Okay. So this, how can I help you today? Starts to become, yeah, exactly, Matthew. In his comments here, he wrote, it kind of becomes one word. Yeah, this how can I help you today experience is a brain phenomenon where your brain says, this is one word, and it starts to deliver it that way. Now that's all good. In fact, that's really normal for us to do this. And there's nothing wrong with it as long as we maintain the stress. But if we take out the stress, listen to what happens. How can I help you today? 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 How does that sound to you? How can I help you today? Somebody just answered the phone like that. How can I help you today? How can I help you today? How does it make you feel? When I hear somebody answer that way, I sort of think, well, I'm not sure they're actually wanting to help me. I think they're just saying it. It's becoming a placeholder. So it's not very courteous, exactly. So we have to be careful. We have to watch for the phrases that we use every day and pay special attention to them, to give them their feeling and the real intention that they share, okay? So we can start to think in color vowels, of course. You know, it's a great way to put the stress back into a phrase. So let's take how can I help you today? And just feel those three colors. How, help, day, right? We'll use brown cow, ow. Help would be red pepper, and day, gray day, day. How can I help you today? Okay, so we'll use the day or this gray day as a, and ow, right? And what we can do with those three important stresses is create a musical way to practice that phrase that's so important to help slow us down. You take out your hand and we'll create a beat like this. Ow, a. Ow, a. Ow, a. Good. So we can say, how can I help you today? How can I help you today? We can go fast. How can I help you today? Right? So we can get quite fast, but still maintain the stress that has the feeling and the emotion behind it so that we can actually connect with the other person. How can I help you today? Yeah. Notice that's different from how can I help you today? How can I help you today? Yeah. There is a different pitch. There's more time. And that arm is always there as a perfect little measure of the time that makes you sound more genuine, more friendly, more present. Okay. So now we have happiness, especially on the telephone. If you work on a telephone or use the telephone a lot, this is especially important. This is especially important. Try that. This is especially important. This is especially important. Good job. So that just taking out the hand is enough to slow us down, to take that time, and to create that pitch that we need. Okay. So now we can take that, and I've just created a small chant to put this into a context. Okay. So we'll try this one, and then we'll open up for questions. Hello. Good morning. How can I help you today? Right? Hello. Good evening. How can I help you today? So we'll try that again. Ready? Hello. Good morning. How can I help you today? Hello. Good evening. How can I help you today? Great. So that's pretty simple stuff, isn't it? Yeah. I think we can all be looking for those important words, the question words, the verbs, the nouns, okay? And anything that is emphasis, like so, thank you so much, right? So, and so forth. So you'll be feeling which of those words are the most important to create those beats, okay? So we can do this with other phrases. For example, if we look at this first one, how would this one behave? Doesn't someone want to try that one? What are you going to do? That doesn't sound like a good question. How can this sentence sound if we use good stress? And let's see, do we have a user who would like to try this? Like maybe Mikiko, you want to try that?
Sure. What are you going to do?
Good, and can you do it now with your hand?
Okay. What are you going to do?
Good. What are you going to do? I could hear you using your hand, right? Did you hear that? I see Alexandra. Did you hear that? I could hear it. Yeah. Mikiko, do it one more time with your hand. Which words are you opening your hand on? Tell everybody.
Right one.
Huh?
Right hand.
The right hand. And which words are you opening your hand on?
What are you going to do?
Good. So what going do, right? What going do. So what colors are those?
What? That's a black cat going. Oh, that's a rose boat. And do a wooden hook.
Almost like blue moon or wooden hook. Sure. Yeah. And in fact, with what, if it were black, I would say wat, black cat wat. But what is actually a cup of mustard? You can see me there with my cup of mustard. So it's something like this from left to right. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? So it's mustard, rose, blue. Everyone try that. O, oo. What are you going to do? Good. So that's one. I'm going to give you another one, and we'll just use that here, which is, I wish I could take a day off. How about that one? I wish I could take a day off. Can you hear the three colors in that phrase? I wish I could take a day off. I wish I could take a day off. What are the three colors? Can you put that in the chat? I wish I could take a day off. Yeah? Are you hearing maybe wish would be a silver pin word? Take. I wish I could take. A gray sound. I wish I could take the day off. Or you could be more, I wish I could take a day off. You could say that too, okay? So everyone try that for a minute. I wish I could take a day off. I wish I could take a day off. You can be more emphatic. I wish I could take a day off, yeah? There's a third that I'll share with you, and then we'll open it for questions. And it's this question that I'll show you here. My middle one here. This one right here. If you look at these words, you can read them to yourself. And when would you like to meet? Where are the most important words? What are the three, if we want to pick three? When, because it is a question word, right? Big important word at the beginning. Good. What else? Let's see what people are saying here. Yeah, so Simon has a nice answer here. Yeah, we have that when, like, meet. So I might say when, like, meet. When, like, meet. Or then when would you like to meet? And then I would say, well, when would you like to meet? I could change it then. So we'd start with the main question or the default. When would you like to meet? When would you like to meet? Try that. When would you like to meet? When would you like, that would you starts to come back and be small, unstressed. When would you like to meet? Yeah. When would you like to meet? And then the other person says, well, I don't know. When would you like to meet? When would you like to meet? Because now I'm giving it back to the other person. Now, you want to try that with me? I'll say, when would you like to meet? And then you can answer, I don't know. When would you like to meet?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Now, when would you like to meet?
I don't know. When would you like to meet?
Very nice. When would you like to meet? So we change it when we have a conversation. Beautiful. All right. So I'm now very interested in questions from you all, as I'll be taking out my Blue Canoe, because we're going to connect tonight's theme to Blue Canoe shortly. But what kinds of questions come up in your mind when we do this? What are your thoughts? I'll be watching. But meanwhile, if we don't have thoughts or questions yet, that's okay. So when you look in Blue Canoe and you go to the lessons, notice, I'm sure you've noticed this, but I'll go into something fun like social conversations, okay? So here we are. Even a short phrase like, let's have lunch, this was over here in the short conversations. All of these show color vowels, and I actually have my special camera here that I can use to show you. So let's do that. Visualizer. Let's see if I can get it to work. But anyway, inside of Blue Canoe, you'll always find those images there waiting for you. And you can tap on them and use them in the very same way that we did just now. And in that way, you're actually making more use of Blue Canoe than you might have realized. Let's see what we have. My camera doesn't seem to be working for my phone, but I can show you a little bit here. Nope, it doesn't want to work that way. Okay, so we have here, if I just show you my camera a little bit, here, let me see where I am. Nope, too dark, too light. There we go. So here, when you look at my sentence, there's a lot of glare there, isn't there? These images here on the left are the ones that you can press, and they get quite loud if you touch them. Red pepper, let's. A cup of mustard, lunch. So I can say, if it's let's have lunch, I can actually do this with myself. Let's have a cup of mustard, lunch. Red pepper, let's. A cup of mustard. So I can actually make my own chant by saying, let's have lunch. Let's have lunch. And the longer phrases are even more powerful when you pay attention to those words that are marked. Okay, good. How many of you are using the lessons in this way? Are you listening to all of the features? Or is this new for you, for anybody?
I know Chio's been really using all of the buttons that you press, the listening to yourself, all of the help, and like listening to the sentence again and again. So she's good on that.
Wonderful. No, and that's it, is really you're rewarded for every bit of, tapping around and checking things out, because we have a lot hidden in there for you, just waiting for you to find it. And of course, we also do our best to show it to you. But spend some time in each of these, really poking around, especially in the feedback. It's just to say, in case you haven't been, it's there for you. Okay?
Karen, I would note that you have hints turned on just in case they don't see it.
Okay.
The hints is where they'll see that.
That's right. So it could be, you might be looking at your images and not seeing these. You can turn them on and off with the hints button up at the top. And then this is another sort of strategy. If you have been using all of the images, try turning off the visual hints, and the pictures will go away. And then you can start to see what your score is when you're not seeing those clues. So that's kind of a nice little test for yourself, is what does it look like when there's no markup, there's no hint to show you where the stress is. Okay, and we have lots of sentences, so you can always find something that you haven't done before. Okay, good. Other questions?
Chio,
I can open this up to other questions about pronunciation too. Hi, Penny.
sorry, Karen, I was, Chio, I was watching you. I know you're a little bit newer to Blue Canoe. I was watching how well you were using your hand. Do you do that? Do you practice with it? Mm-hmm. You're on mute. Let me see. Are you
Yes.
practicing with your hand?
Yes.
Yes.
Every day.
You are.
Every day I practice.
Wonderful, yeah.
Now.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm very happy because most of Japanese people don't like to use this hand because they are shy. So
Sorry.
yeah, so it's very I'm very happy. Yeah.
Actually, now could you share the story that you've told me about there was a businessman that was using the open hand. Can you tell us that story?
Sorry. And I taught some work kind of thing and services thing. Businessmen. There are more than 10 people, and they actually eager to practice Blue Canoe a lot. And one day, one guy, he was practicing Blue Canoe with out loud and using hands and alone in the office. Yeah, he found the kind of small room and to practice individually. But suddenly, and one of his coworker opened the door, and she watched him doing rows boat, what something like that. So she was so surprised. What are you doing now? Like that story.
He said, I don't care. It's helping me.
Karen, did you see Simon's comment?
No, I haven't. Let's see. He's part of the cult. Exactly. Exactly. Well, we all, we can talk about the brain, but in the end, you have to do something about the brain. And you can't just keep thinking. So if you can use your hand, or some people use a gesture. Some people use a rubber band like this. You can use a rubber band. Okay, I had a gentleman who worked for Honda years ago, and he had to use the telephone a lot. And so he just always had a rubber band next to his desk, and he would be talking and doing this on the stress. How can I help you today? It's very nice to talk with you. So he would just use it, and it seemed to help him to feel calmer in English. So, this is just like the hand, only it's a rubber band. That works very nicely also. Then people can think you're really different. But it's subtle. He would keep it down, down below his desk so that nobody could really see. And that was very discreet. He wasn't noticed by anybody. Yeah.
Karen, I was wondering if there's any formal research that has been done and maybe published that I could look up and then maybe share with students who are a little bit more hesitant.
Sure, about the brain. There's quite a bit out there, definitely about the musical parts of the brain, and how, for example, a lot of studies have been done on brain damage, which tells us a lot about learning in general. So, we learn a lot from those cases, and how speech in particular can be sent through the musical brain very successfully. So I'll see if I can, I don't have one article in mind, but there's a great deal of research showing that you can retrain broken or injured parts of the brain through these other channels. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if, not just the damaged brain, but learners improving faster, or maybe being able to improve using, all of the techniques that we've learned, using movement, using the chants, the musical part of the brain, and using the visual, the underlining, something, that would possibly involve all three, or
Sure. Good. We'll try to get something to you. And meanwhile, when I look at, and I've known Now, for example, Now is here in the room, and I think Mikoko has been doing this for quite a while too. The stories of when I talk to students who actually have really succeeded with this, those are very compelling stories. Yeah. So part of this comes from, we know there's research, but at the same time, this has been a 20-year journey driven by student success. But we will keep looking for those opportunities for sure.
Yeah, I'm 100% sold on this, just even with, my experience with Blue Canoe and with your course. But, something more formal would be amazing, something like, like
a written article.
Yeah, something that had tracked the progress, not just anecdotal evidence, which is of course extremely compelling, but really like setting a baseline, and then this is the improvement, this is how we tracked it, something like this.
Good, thank you. And we'll get something to you. Simon asked a good question. Is there any advice on working with people who have lisps or speech deficit, other speech difficulties? I'm not a speech therapist, and so that kind of moves into another realm, a parallel realm of very talented practitioners. So I'm not going to pretend that I have something for lisps in particular. I do know that lisps are subconsciously produced, and so people who have a lisp don't hear that it's different from what we want it to be. But I don't know quite how I would say I could address that. But I'd be happy to look for that, Simon. And so I'll see what I can find out there in the journals and among my colleagues, okay? Because sometimes we find students that have other speech difficulties. Good. So yeah, thank you for that. That's definitely a nice note to follow up on, both of you. Yeah, good. Other questions today? I want to thank everybody for coming. This is super fun to have teachers and learners in the room. I'd like to close by having any comments from teachers we used a chant tonight. Has this been helpful to you? Have you used it with your students? That kind of thing. So teachers, do you have anything to say?
Chio and I just had a lesson yesterday, actually, and we met at Starbucks, and we were doing with the hand motion and the chanting, and yeah, we didn't reduce the chant to the, the main words and then the main syllables as you did today, but I think the chanting helps, set the correct rhythm for what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chio, what do you think? Did it help?
I think so.
Yeah, actually, I told Chio she would not have to say anything today, as long as if she dialed in, she wouldn't really have to speak.
Well,
so
then I want to applaud you for dialing in. It's wonderful.
Sorry, Chio, for calling you out. It's fun to watch everybody. It's just,
yeah, definitely. Any other comments from teachers? No? All right. Well, thank you everybody for
Little comment just regarding the practice or the sentence examples with the hints.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I start without the hints and practice that rhythm, and then always I can fall back on bringing the hints on the left hand side. So again, it's been very, very helpful and fun, and I think it's very it gives them a lot of security. Like I could fall back on it again, and they don't feel stressed so much when they see the option that you can bring up those hints again. So it's really good. So I usually start without and then go back if there's any issue with the rhythm that way.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, I found myself, I'm currently teaching, I have guests in my home for a month, and they're speakers of Spanish. And so they're preparing to actually live in a country where English is spoken. So we started in on Blue Canoe, and I was showing them, how to get started. And then I thought I would just demonstrate, and we stayed on the first sentence for 20 minutes just to really get everything out of it. So teachers know that, you can play it and have them write it like a dictation. I mean, there are all kinds of things. So we'll keep coming back to this, okay? Next week, actually, or the next time we all meet, we can share more of those kinds of tips. So thanks again, everybody. Thank you for your time. And this will be posted as a recorded session up on our site, and Penny will be following through with you, okay? Have a great day and a great evening wherever you are. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.